Breaking news. A major broadcaster has just won a court order to identify hundreds of IPTV users, not sellers, not providers, actual users, and they're doing this through something most people think is completely safe, their bank account. So let me break down exactly what happened, why this is a serious shift, and most importantly, how this could affect you as somebody that uses IPTV services. So here is the situation. The famous broadcaster you can see on the screen has gone to court in Ireland and successfully obtained an order forcing Revolut to hand over details of around about 300 different users. Again, these are not sellers, these are not providers, these are not business owners. They are just regular people who allegedly paid for a particular IPTV subscription. And this is why it's a key shift, because they're not going after the source anymore. They're not going after the business owners or the back-end owners. They're now trying to go for the end user, and they've actually won this case. What's happened now really does change the game, because it seems like payment is now the source of identification of who you are. So if you paid for anything online, if you've done a bank transfer, card payment, digital wallets, all of that does create some kind of trail that can then be referenced or looked up. And in this case, the broadcaster used that trail to connect the payments back to the end user. And here's the scary part. This is not just about one case. This now creates a blueprint. So if this works in Ireland, who knows, maybe next is going to be in the UK, in Europe, or really globally. This could now form a process that if they want to, they can now leverage your bank services, different banking organizations to identify people making payments for these kind of services. So you can see why it does sound pretty scary. And let's be honest, most people don't really think about these side of things. They think, can I use this application? Does this application give me the content that I want? Does the application work? But they don't really think, who can see that I'm using this application? Who is monitoring? Who is logging this activity? For example, the most famous care application is perfectly legal. Anybody can download it. It's available directly on the Google Play Store, has more than 50 million downloads. But what you do with the application, if you choose to install third-party add-ons, maybe some custom builds, maybe then accessing that kind of content could potentially leave a trail. And that's why I always say that if you are streaming anything on these devices, your Fire Sticks, Android TVs, even your laptops and TV, it is always highly recommended, I would say essential now, to use a VPN, because as soon as you activate a VPN, you're now hiding your IP address, you're encrypting all of your traffic, and nobody can directly identify what you're doing when you're doing anything online. And if your VPN uses a no logs policy, then really there's nothing for these other companies trying to connect the dots to try to identify who was using their service or trying to access certain content. If you're on the same VPN I'm using, then you can go ahead and scan that QR code. So wrapping this up, guys, this is not like a fear-mongering or a scaremongering kind of video. It's just reporting the news that things are definitely changing in this landscape. I've done many videos like this in the past where typically it's always a certain reseller or somebody that's, selling loaded Fire Sticks, that kind of stuff. They get caught, they get fined, and in some cases they get put in prison. But here we can see with this particular case in Ireland, it does look like the authorities now are going after the end users, and they're actually requesting people's personal data through their banking transactions. So it does look like we moved into a new phase. And the question is, will this now spread to other regions, other countries, or is this something just local to Ireland? So really appreciate your support. Do like and share this video. Do let me know what you think about this article, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.